Hi everyone, and welcome to Lucy Goes Live, where I'm interviewing people who genuinely know that are helping other people. That I genuinely, let me put my teeth back in. I genuinely know who are helping other people in what I believe is quite challenging times at the moment. So if you're watching this in 10 years' time, we're in 2026, 6 years after the lockdown. And right now, I believe we need more genuine people than ever to help others. So today I am joined by one of those people, Rhodri from Lougher Fitzgerald, who specialises in estate planning. And we've had Rhodri on a couple of episodes before talking about wills, trusts, powers of attorney. And today we are going to be talking about executor packs and what are they? So we'll also be answering like some of the most common questions, doing a bit of myth busting around all these types of things. So thank you again, Rhodri, for taking the time to join me today.
Thank
Um,
you.
so tell us, what is an executor pack?
So, an executor pack basically is a packet of information that is all held together, that in the event of someone passing and the will is executed, it allows the executor access to all of the information pertaining to the person that's passed away.
Yeah,
So, in to give you a practical example and a realistic example of what's happened probably a million times, that somebody has consented to being the executor for a will, and all of a sudden they have this enormous responsibility on their shoulders
yeah.
because there are the beneficiaries of the will.
Mm-hmm.
There's, if you look at it from an emotional position, people are devastated. They've lost someone very dear to them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of uncertainty um, around what happens next. And it's sadly very common that the executor doesn't necessarily know what steps to make.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trained in this, so I know what I would know what to do, but
Yeah.
I would imagine if you stop the average person on the street, they wouldn't know the first thing to do.
Mm.
So what tends to happen in that scenario is the executor is placed under enormous stress because he or she wants to do the right thing and wants to do a really good job. But they're probably dealing with some emotional issues because they've lost their dear friend or whoever it might be. Um, and then they have family members, close family, um, extended family, friends, sort of trying to determine, well, what's happened to the insurance policy? What's
Yeah.
happened to the pension? What's happened to the
ISA.
bonds that
Yeah.
he held? And we've seen it happen a million times where the the executor is trying to find out, well, who's the bank account?
Mm.
Which bank was he with? And I know, and I'll bet anybody watching and you lose, do your does your say closest friend know what bank you're with?
Mm.
Maybe. Maybe if I think of my pal, he probably knows. I've probably mentioned it to him, but he doesn't know who my pension is with. He
Mm.
doesn't know um, who the gas bill is, and certainly my mortgage, and all of these different things. He's not going to know all of that. Um, so, what the executor pack is, it's a packet of information that holds all of that information,
Yeah.
all of it. So when I'm going through the wills process, of course, I log all of the assets, all of the providers, the who the bank accounts with, who the pensions are with,
Yeah.
everything. And it's stored away in a folder on the system. And then when we arrive at the right time in the process, and I'll mention it quite early on.
Mm.
Um, I'll say, let's talk about this. Now, this is a I tend to think this is a little gift to the executor.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. That you're asking somebody to do something for you for the benefit of of people in that person's life. And
Yeah.
oftentimes the executor is not a beneficiary in the will.
I've heard of this before. Yeah.
So an executor could go through all of this stress
Mm,
for nothing.
for nothing. Yeah.
So what does tend to happen, in fairness, when I explain that to clients, they will often say, well, I'd like to make something available in the will for the executor,
Yeah, for all the time and trouble.
for the
Yeah.
time and the effort and everything else. The executor pack is as I say, it's a nice, I say it's a nice, it's a gift for the executor to say, thanks for doing this. I know it's a nightmare, but here is this box
Yeah.
and it's got everything in there, passwords, logins. Um, you can put funeral wishes in.
Yeah.
A lot of people tend to think that they can put funeral wishes into a will, which they can,
Mm,
but it sometimes the funeral will occur before the will is read.
mm,
So it can negate the wishes in the will. So they can
yeah.
be put into the executor box. And also the other thing as well is that some people have quite grand ideas of what they want their funeral to be,
Yeah.
and the estate can't necessarily support it. There might be the estate might be worth £100,000, but they want this Hollywood style funeral that would be, £28,000. And, you know, but funeral wishes can go into the executive pack. And we know from practical experience, from actual experience, that it's it's a really, really good thing to have
Mm,
um, at a time when emotions are up and down and back to front and everything's very difficult. Somebody can have this, refer to it, follow the instructions,
yeah.
and bring about a relatively smooth process.
Yeah. So can I ask how much work is involved for the client? Let's say I come to you and I want an executor pack. How much work is involved? I mean, I guess, is it just a case of me writing absolutely everything down? Because when I think about it, I've got quite a few different accounts all over the place.
Yeah,
Which, probably some of them need closed down even.
yeah.
We're always logging into things online now, aren't we? We're always
Hmm.
creating different accounts for this and that and the other. I just ordered my son some, for instance, as simple as this, I just ordered my son some martial arts gear the other day and I had to create another password, and people
Yeah,
are
yeah.
already exasperated with passwords. So,
Hmm.
do we have to just what is it that we have to put in? Is it just the banking details? Is it just your banking details, or is it other stuff like, you know?
Fortunately, um, I know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
Um, so people do, and it can be quite comical at times that people will um, give me their Deliveroo logins.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's well, I'm not sure what to do with those. So, but I mean, I've got a list of questions that I've sort of curated over the last however long to make sure that nothing gets missed. There's the big ticket items, of course, which is um, the property details, the
Mm.
mortgage company, the account number,
Yeah.
um, the bank account, or bank accounts. We
Yeah.
now, whereas back, say in my parents' day, you had a bank account.
And you went to the bank.
And yeah, now it's not uncommon for people to have three, four different accounts.
Yeah, I know I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially as sort of fintech has progressed and we've got online banks and
Mm.
various different things. So um, insurance policies, people people are generally aware of their insurance policies,
Mm.
I've found. Where we have to take special care is pension information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, of course, it's quite common now that, again, looking back, I think my dad worked for two companies his entire career, three at tops. Whereas now it's quite common for people to have 10 or 15 jobs. So they might
Yeah.
have 10 or 15 private pensions, workplace pensions.
Yeah.
So we have a link with a firm that will track those pensions down for somebody.
Ah,
And
right.
almost always pensions pop up
Yeah, because
that they've forgotten about.
we got all of my husband's put into one pension. And
Yeah,
then one as soon as we did that, he changed job again. Now he's
yeah.
now he's got
And
whatever because they all use
that's what happens.
we were even trying to track one down that had about 20 quid in it, you know.
Yeah,
And they were saying there was no account details. I'm like, I've got a piece of paper with an account number on here.
yeah,
I still
yeah,
don't think we've got hold of that 20 quid. So that's
yeah,
an example. So we had like there was four. I know there was four.
yeah,
And we went to a pension guy and he put it all into like an investment one, I think it
yeah.
was. So, I mean, and that just brings me on to the other thing. Like, I know it's had mixed reviews when I've mentioned what we call our box full of paperwork in this
Mm,
house, my mother's house, and
yeah,
in our house. Um,
yeah.
and my mother, as I've said to you before, being from a farming and nursing background, we put things very, very bluntly, and I think because
Mm,
we're Northerners as well we a spade's a spade and we call it the dead box. So,
yes,
you know,
yeah.
that I know it's had mixed reviews. And people say, yeah, I've got one too. And other people go, oh, I don't want to think about that. And I know we've had a bit of that over the weekend. Uh,
Mm,
but what would you say, like, so for instance, like we have our dead box and we've have all the paperwork and the information's in there. Sometimes, sometimes I'll get the dead box out and I'll go through it all. Um,
yeah,
and get rid of any old we had a old insurance policy and then we got the insurance done again, like the life insurance done again, and put the new paperwork in and stuff. So, is that why would that not be enough? Like,
um,
for
well, it
instance?
has to be. I mean, yeah, the name of this particular product can be up for debate, really.
Yeah.
I think, as we were laughing about over the weekend, that yeah, death box is
Mm.
is particularly blunt, but
Yeah.
can be quite comical at the same time. Um, important before I forget to mention as well that one of the reasons why we should try to steer clients away from calling it a death box is that it potentially could be needed in the event of a power of attorney being
Yeah.
invoked. Because it's one thing to say, well, Joe over there is my attorney.
Mm.
If anything goes wrong, well, what happens if something does go wrong and Joe hasn't got a clue who the bank account is,
Yeah.
who the mortgage is with? That's a nightmare. That's horrendous. So it it's important that the client maintains the executor pack. That
Yeah.
if with the best will in the world, I can't contact clients every week, month, or whatever it is to say, so have you started a new insurance policy?
Yeah.
You bought
Yeah.
a new car? Have
Yeah.
you moved house? What have you done? Now, of course, we
Yeah.
schedule sort of um, biannual review calls
Yeah.
where we say, has anything changed? Have you got
Mm.
married? Have you got divorced? Have you had another child? Have you won the lottery? Has
Mm.
anything happened that would warrant a change to anything that we've done?
Yeah.
Now, if the answer to that question is yes, then well, we make any amendments that need to be made. But then it the executor box needs to be also changed.
Yeah, and can a client go in and change that, or do they have to do it through
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
No, like if they so once we've created the initial executor pack,
Hmm.
um, we we would send it to the client. We send it. Now, if the client wants us to store it for them as
Hmm.
well, then we will. that's fine. Um, but if after, say, 6 months, something changes
Yeah,
and they don't tell us, then our exacta box is out of date.
yeah,
The one they have might be fine,
yeah,
but the one we have isn't.
yeah,
Now, what we generally say to people is when they take one of these packs is there's no point in hiding it away.
yeah.
You need to keep it safe, but you need people to know where it is.
Mm.
And we tend to suggest that, there's a couple of them
Uh-huh.
stored in two different locations. God forbid the house burns down. The exacta
Yeah.
pack is gone forever.
Yeah.
Um, and it's it's really quite comical sometimes that we're going through these uh, life-shaping questions for the
Mm.
most awful times in people's lives, and a question that tends to cause the most consternation is where am I going to keep it?
Yeah.
And people don't know what to do with it. So we can store it, but then we're reliant upon the client telling us if anything
Yeah. If,
changes.
if anything
Um,
changes, yeah.
but this is one of those things where, generally speaking, if someone is doing the powers of attorney and the will and everything, they will almost always take the executor pack.
Yeah. And do you think, obviously, this speeds things up a lot? I mean, my next question
Mm,
was going to talk about probate. I mean, I've typed probates up as a secretary myself in the
mm.
past, in a previous life. But yeah, I guess it just speeds all that up then.
Yeah, yeah, because it's, we're a relatively conservative and secretive people in the UK.
Mm.
Not, I think one of the rudest questions anyone can ask is how much do you earn? How much money
Yeah,
have you got?
I
People just
remember.
don't know. And
Yeah.
so the worst case scenario in this, as I mentioned earlier, is
Mm.
someone passes away. We have the executor here,
Mm.
ready and waiting to execute his or her duties for his old friend that's passed away,
Yeah.
with the family waiting, and you're having to find, well, was he with Santander? Was he with the NatWest? Was he with RBS? And then
Yeah.
you're sending death certificates to those banks.
Yeah.
Then you're waiting for the replies.
Mm.
Then, and with the way that compliance and FCA regulations are now, they're not going to write back to you within a week and say, there you go, full access.
Mm.
There's
Yeah.
going to be hoops to jump through.
I remember, like, it just sort of brings my mind to a time where we had an issue at Christmas with Mike's bank account. So back in the day, before I always say BC, before child, um, I would take his bank card and do the shopping, no bother at all. So my money stayed in the bank to cover all the bills, everything. That's just what it covered. Like it covered nothing else. And then we would use his money for spending and going out and whatever. So I remember going Christmas shopping and thinking, why is the bank card not working? On a Saturday morning, I walked into his branch in a different town to what we lived in. So I went into the sort of old-fashioned Christmas shopping before online kind of took off. And the girl in there said, "Oh yeah, you're his wife." I showed her my driving license with his obviously his surname Patterson. "Oh yeah, I'll sort it for you." Now, I can't sort anything without my husband being there, which sometimes is virtually impossible because he
Mm,
works like Monday to Friday. He has to take time off work to do these life admin things. When you think how long you spend on life admin, it could be an
mm.
entire working week out of your
Yeah,
whole year just to sort things out. So it just shows how times have changed so much since I would be talking maybe 2016 when
mm,
2000 and even a bit maybe 2015 when that actually happened when his bank card got blocked because he'd
yeah,
done an online and I just went in the bank with his card and said, "This is how we do things.
yeah.
Here's my driving license." I don't even know if she asked for that actually, but now trying to do anything. like on
Yeah.
his behalf, just me on the phone is virtually impossible.
Yeah.
Same with my dad when I help my dad with stuff. It's virtual. I have to be sat with them beside me to say,
Yeah.
yes, it's all right for Lucy to do this and to sort this. Um,
Yeah.
and it's crackers. Like, I get why that that happens because, as you said before, some people will, manipulate the situation to their
Mm.
advantage potentially. Now, I could have took all his money and run,
Yeah. Yeah.
on Christmas. That would have been nice. But it obviously these things now we need them more than ever because we are living in this almost overly secure, data secure world. Like
Yeah.
come to a point where, you know, it's almost impossible to do anything as a couple, life admin wise, unless you take a day off and do or
Yeah.
two
Well,
days
these
off.
these these packs, I mean, if I think back to when, my parents were, say, my age, that
Mm,
they think they banked with the Midland, which is now, of course, the HSBC.
yes,
And
I remember
you know,
it
they
being.
had they had the account,
Yeah,
um, and that was pretty much it.
yeah.
I would say between my wife and I, and I'm between her business, my business, our personal accounts, I say we've probably got 10 or 12 accounts.
No, it's crackers, isn't it?
Maybe who knows, even more perhaps. And so, but what we also put into the Exacta pack as well is um, template letters.
Yeah.
So now, of course, the Exacta pack can be a physical pack with actual paper,
Mm.
hard copy paper, but it can also be in soft copy form as well.
Yeah.
Um, the only slight issue with that is how would the executor access it?
Hmm.
So sometimes um, there can be a provision made available whereby um, the executor accesses it in this particular Dropbox or
Yeah.
this email or whatever. But we do draft if necessary, and we've got lots of templates of letters that the executor can send to all of the different institutions.
Yeah.
So it's literally they fill in the blanks. This is the account number. This is the bank. This is sign send, and
Mm.
that's the end of it. Because there are several occasions where huge rifts have occurred, huge arguments, and um, where 30, 40-year friendships and relationships have been destroyed because the executor hasn't been able to administer the will in as quickly as the beneficiaries want them to. So the pressure
Yeah.
mounts up and
Yeah.
it blows. I've heard, countless
Yeah.
situations of that where eventually the executor says, "Do you know what? Forget it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. I,
I'm not doing it."
I've met a lady in that situation, and I met her prior to that, and she was always like really cheerful, talk about loads of, we'd have really cool conversations when we met. It was a friend of a friend. And then the last time I saw her, I haven't seen her for a while. She just looked so harassed and stressed. And
Mm,
she'd agreed to be an executor, but obviously it wasn't that smooth, and I think it was consuming her whole life. So I guess the easier you can make it for your executors, the better, basically, because I would hate to think that people were even more stressed like after I'd gone
mm.
than than what they had to I think I don't know if you agree with this, but today's modern world, like I definitely think we're living in more stressy times than we've ever
Yeah.
lived with, but we're bombarded. We're absolutely bombarded with
Well,
stuff.
take the bank account issue. You couldn't walk into, well, you probably could. You walk into a bank, say my bank Santander,
Yeah.
with a death certificate and your identification and say, I'm the executor of a will for this person. Here's a copy of the will. Here's the death certificate. Here's my identification.
Mm,
Can you give me? Um, I would be staggered and I would need evidence to support this, but there's no way in the world they're giving you access there and then.
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
not a chance they're doing that.
It, yeah.
Now, in bygone days, then yes, probably, but also when when um, when we were talking about wills earlier, and I was saying about how I speak to the executors to fully explain their obligation, that it's not a 5 minute, it's not a half an hour meeting. You see it on the TV, and it's this guy in a nice suit, you know, almost always with white hair, and he reads this will, and we marvel at the reaction of the beneficiaries. Um, that's not how it is in real life.
No, it's
That's not how it is. The
not.
executor is normally just a normal guy
Yeah. Yeah.
who's, you know, working a normal job. And all of a sudden, this staggering responsibility has landed on his shoulders. And while he knew it was coming, he, nothing can quite prepare somebody for. And it's one thing not being able to find something, it's a different thing not knowing what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just have no idea. So when I talk to the executors and I talk to the client and I say, I make it very, very clear to them, you're asking a lot of this person.
Mm.
You're asking a lot. This is not a 5 minute thing. We have something that makes everybody's life easier. And if your executor is a little bit on the fence on it, for the reasons we've mentioned, we can talk about this executor pack a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and generally speaking, when when people are doing this, you tend to find that once they've made the decision they want to do the wills, the powers of attorney, sometimes the trust, the executor pack is added with very little issue.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say next, really, was like you can do so, Rhodri can do the whole shebang, to do the will, the trust, the executor pack, the powers of attorney, all in one go, all not in one go, but can be done over a period of time. And I would say, that from my experience and looking locally, it's definitely people are watching the pennies a bit more these days, so I definitely think it would be a lot more affordable for people
Hmm.
going with yourself from my experience. So, yeah. So, is there
Yeah.
anything else, Rhodri, that you'd like to add about any of the things that we've talked about in the last
Um,
few episodes?
no, not particularly. I think that, you know, this is this is one of those areas
Hmm.
where when I used to do asset protection, and I still do that, I used to be very brutally honest with clients and say, this is the worst insurance in the world.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's horrible because it only kicks in when something awful has happened.
Yeah.
This is kind of the same, really. I mean, this really is the final station, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and I think that for people that do these things, wills, powers of attorneys, trusts, executor packs, various different things, I think it is an enormous act of generosity to
Hmm.
those they hold dear. I think
Yeah.
it's a really kind thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, and because it doesn't benefit them in any way, shape,
No,
or form.
They're not,
In
they're not,
any way,
yeah.
that they're spending money on something that will not benefit them.
Yeah.
And that is never lost on me. And um, you know, and that's why the process that we undertake is 100% different than any other firm,
Mm.
but that
Yeah.
I've had contact with anyway.
Yeah.
That there's no time constraints. There's definitely no pressure. It's the
Mm.
opposite of pressure,
Yeah.
where I have on occasion slowed the process down with some clients because I'm a bit concerned. Then they're racing through this. Are they
Mm.
understanding exactly what we're doing?
Yeah.
So, it's you know, people at the end of the process, they're always very grateful, and they're very quick to send a text saying thank you and or an email or whatever.
Yeah.
And I always say the same thing. Well, actually, you're very welcome, but your family should be now thanking you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You
I've
know,
yeah, exactly. I've always been brought up to get stuff sorted. That's just the way my lot are. So,
mm.
and I'm totally grateful that it is, So, yeah, great. So, if you've been watching this and you've realized now is the time to get your affairs in order and your ducks in a row, don't leave it too late. Whether you need a will, power of attorney, trust, or, the complete shebang. Rhodri's your guy to help get that sorted. If you want to have a no obligation conversation, you'll be able to find the details on the Facebook page. I'll put the details in the comments below as well so that everybody can see it on the individual videos. And again, thank you, Rhodri. Thanks so much for your time today. And
Pleasure.
yeah, yeah, and good luck with everything. And I'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much.